Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBack.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? So, did some things, moved some portfolio stuff around, was looking at the news, and lo and behold, the jobs numbers were better than expected. It doesn't mean they were good. It means they were better than expected. Because everybody like me was not expecting anything good. Straight up was not on the menu. So when I heard the jobs numbers today, they were better than expected. I was like, wow. The pessimist in me, you know what he said, right? You're not even gonna guess? How much will the correction be next month? Excuse me. Meaning, when they revise the numbers, how much will it be? There's always a revision. I'm just wondering what that number will be. Tonight's question. What exchange just launched a crypto wallet that operates without humans? Binance, Hyperliquid, Kraken, or other? If it's other, drop it in the comments. I see at least one person voted and they didn't drop it in the comments. You know what to do. You know better. You know better. But, so I found that to be interesting. I sat there and I was like, interesting. Nobody was expecting those numbers. And like I said, I'm wondering what the revision will be next month. Right? And I would like to know if for sure they were using accurate information. Because, we were late again. Because why? That's right. We had that government shutdown for a few days. Can we get anything right? Yo, what's going on? Have you invested in yourself today? That's the question you must answer. Must. If you have the cojones to actually step up and chat, then you should have the cojones to be able to say, yeah, I invested in myself today. Or not. It depends. Who knows? Aloha 8 pause. What's agentic? I'm trying to understand. That's not an answer. Agentic is not an exchange. Care to elaborate? Just saying. So today's news, we got that. That was kind of big news. What else did we get? The stock market opened cautiously. Yep. And then tanked. It didn't tank, but it didn't do well. Yo, Hutanic, thanks for letting us know you invested in yourself. So I'm just running around looking for news. Crypto's still volatile. Good. I'm paying attention to this. Right? I expected Bitcoin and the rest of the market to take a hit, but it didn't. So, happy surprise. Not mad about that. Happy surprise. But still a surprise. Mistel stock plummets 25% after shocking earnings miss. Shocking? Was it really shocking? Yeah, I guess it was because they missed in December. Guess you didn't have the cool toys. And, you kind of have to wonder, what is it that kids want? I have kids, but I haven't heard of any toys that are out there that are, over the Christmas season that it was the must have. Remember Cabbage Patch Kids when we were kids? Yeah, there was nothing like that this year. Nothing. What were kids asking for? Phones, upgrades, computer upgrades. It seems like they were asking for everything but, where the heck is my pen? Like they were asking for everything but, toys. I'm not saying that Mattel doesn't have any place to go, that they don't have anything that they can do. It's just, what's the pulse? What's the pulse of these kids these days? I mean, even my little niece, she's 8 years old. She asked her parents for, hey, can I have some more screen time? Like, she knows her screen time is managed. She knows that, and she'll grab a book. Phone will be right there, or tablet will be right there, whichever one, and there's a book. She doesn't mind grabbing a book. She'll do it by herself. I think by this time she is a member of the Million Word Club. I think so. 8 years old. That's what I'm talking about. Go Bit. Yeah, I call her Bit. Boston Training. Dude, you're talking like Bitcoin hasn't been being manipulated. Like, are you serious with that? For real, for real? You know better. Bitcoin has been being manipulated. Why? There are a lot of people that want to keep it down here so they can keep accumulating. If retail doesn't wake up and start accumulating, it's going to be a problem. It's absolutely going to be a problem for them. Right? But here's the ultimate. It goes back to what I said before. It always goes back to what I say. Not what I say. I'm not always right. But in this case, greed. Greed. It's going back to greed. And check this out. If things become too expensive, people just stop buying it. They go deal with something else. And then what happens? Some other company steps in at the lower level, takes the larger company's place. Larger company goes, what the heck is going on? You got too rich for yourself. You thought this money was going to forever flow. You start firing people because you got AI or whatever other technology. Just saying, I don't know. I don't get it. Don't get it. Don't get it at all. President Trump's 2025 Trump accounts initiative, part of the one big BM of a bill, because that's all I can say, because who got tax write-offs? Companies like Amazon got tax write-offs. Amazon's going to pay significantly less on taxes this year. Significantly less. Go look it up. I'm not going to dive into it. We dove into it when it first came out. Go dive into that. You'll see what I mean. Go take a look. It aims to give $1,000 investments to children born between 2025 and 2028, but sparks debate over its ability to reduce the wealth gap, because it won't. Because it won't. It might even increase the wealth gap. Yeah. Just saying. It's a cute trick. It goes from 2025, to 2028. Notice those dates? Yeah, it's cute. Then everybody that wants to kiss the ring, I will give money, we'll give money, we'll give money. Cute. Very cute. Learned something else new today. When I look at the news, I'm going to have to be more careful about the additional pearls that are there. So I find that I kind of reread things. Why is that? Well, because I'll miss a pearl. Earlier today, I said, there are times when you're reading something, earlier today or last night, when you're reading something and you skip right by it. It was last night. You skip right by it. And you're just like, really? And you read it again. It's sort of like when you watch a movie for the second, third, fourth time. It's a really good movie. You really like it. And you sit there and you go, I didn't notice that before. It's sort of like that. And I did find those pearls because I want to connect the dots. Right? I want that necklace. I want to create that pearl necklace because that's what's going to help me understand what's coming, what's not coming, what's in the way, what's not in the way, how things might flow. Might give me a rhythm. That's what I'm looking for. But I don't get everything. Again, one more time. What exchange just launched a crypto wallet that operates without humans? Binance, Hyperliquid, Kraken, or other? If it's other, drop it in the comments and let us know. So what else happened today? Have you ever gone to Costco and you bought a gift card for a restaurant, if you did, chances are you bought the company that made that card was this company called Synergy. Yeah, Synergy World went out of business. They went poof. And guess what? So you gave that money, but it's not backed by anything. So you have to be careful when you do these things. I saw one that who was it? Was it Starbucks? It was one of these companies that has, those cards, and same thing, those reward cards and stuff like that. And you're basically just giving them money that they can do whatever they want with. So they're getting money up front. Well, in this case, Synergy World got all that money up front. You're not going to recover anything because there's nothing to recover. There's nothing to recover. And it sucks. There might be certain places that will redeem the cards, but it really does depend on, the location. I'm not talking about Costco. I'm talking about the companies, you buy a gift card from X restaurant. Maybe that restaurant will abide by it, but that restaurant's not getting paid. Because I think the way it works is you take the card, you go to the restaurant, you give them the card. It's basically a charge card, and they go bang the card and give you back whatever. And I'm like, wow, that's big. That's really, really big. And so everybody's stuck holding the bag. Everybody's stuck holding the bag. I couldn't get over it. I'm just like, wow. And had to stop and think, did we buy any? Because it used to be you'd be able to go to the store, go to Costco, and they had local businesses, local restaurants. You go in there and you get one of those gift cards. Why? Because it was basically a discount to go to the restaurant. So you go there, you buy a card, you go to the restaurant. Restaurant bangs the card, boom, there you go. There's your dinner, there's your food, there's your dinner, whatever it was. Off to the races. Now they're out of business. Just out of the blue, goodbye. Anytime you're giving money, and it taught me a lesson, anytime you're giving money up front, understand who you're giving that money to. And are there any guarantees? Because if there are no guarantees, then why would I be giving you my money? Like New York City used to have that. Oh, well, if you want to park, you have to use, you have to use, they still do it. You have to use this app. And if you use that app, you're paying for parking because it doesn't let you use a credit card to pay the exact amount. And you always wind up paying more, because what you do is you're creating an account, you're putting money into that account, and then they draw from the account. And it's like, so imagine if you're parking and your parking was $25 or $20, you had to put up $25 to have enough for the 20 because it only goes by blocks, and that's how they catch you at the drive-thru. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, it's just great. It's just great. I wanted to look up who's actually doing it for all these cities. Like if you look at Park Mobile and some of these other companies, they're doing it for all these cities and towns, municipalities all over the place. They make big money. Everybody's got a park. They make money every day. And the question is, well, how'd they get that contract? That's what I want to know. How'd you get that contract? Because they collect the money. So if parking is 25 cents, that municipality is going to get that full 25 cents. They're not allowed to give discounts. They get that full 25 cents. They tack on a fee for you to pay. It's not usually big, but you're paying a fee. As opposed to, here's a parking meter. Let me pay the parking meter. We're all beginning to pay for convenience. Massively. Massively. Not even joking. It's big. It really is big. Investors are fleeing financial sector stocks amid fears of AI-driven disruption, with companies like Charles Schwab and LPL Financial, LPLA, if you wanted to look them up on the stock exchanges, experiencing sharp declines. Why? You're dumping a lot of money in AI, and you're not demonstrating that you're getting anything out of it. It's not an AI conversation. It's a management conversation. It's executive leadership conversation. How are you leveraging AI? I have a lot of conversations with executives at different firms, and they're like, well, we're checking to see who's using Copilot. What? Are you serious? So you've hired a bunch of people that don't know how to write an email? I kid you not. Like, let that wash over you for a minute. Where do you use Copilot? You use it in Excel, use it in Word, use it in Outlook. The number one use case for it is actually Outlook. Email. A bunch of people that don't know how to do things. You use Outlook, you use Copilot in Teams, right? But if people don't have practice in writing emails, doesn't that diminish their capability? Because if you're a knife, your edge is getting dull, right? It's not being used, it wears down, you're not doing anything. So I'm sitting here and I'm just kind of like, yeah, you're worried about usage, but you're not worried about solutions. Interesting. That's why there's a pullback. Everybody thought it was crazy when I was talking about AI. One of my son's friends works at a regulator, and he's like, oh yeah, we're not allowed to use AI. AI? Are you serious? We're not allowed to use AI. Because the fear is that you let AI in and you use AI to answer questions, to do things like that. Where do you think that's going? Everything that you give it is going back to train the model, no matter what the heck contract you sign. That's why there's a pullback. I made a post earlier today on the website, because I don't communicate with anybody outside the website. I'm just not, except for lives like right here. I'm not communicating with anybody. If people want to do business with us, they have the office number to call, right? And so I made a comment on the feed, and I was like, what was her name? Robinson. Hold on a second, I'll pull it up. She was on Jenny Harrington. She was on CNBC today, and she nailed it. We have to determine where AI disruption is real, the disruption itself, and where it is only perception. Not everything will be disrupted by AI. There's a perception that a lot of things will be disrupted by AI. But it's just a perception. And she nailed it. Where is disruption real? And where is it a perception? And I was like, wow, she nailed it. That's exactly it. And she's like, and we're investing in companies where we see an opportunity for them to grow. And I was just like, that's freaking amazing. Because I don't think a lot of companies are looking at it like that. Where is the disruption? Anthropic came out with a boatload of tools, disrupted a whole bunch of spaces. And software companies caught it the most. Right? Software companies caught it the most. But hold on for a second. Anybody going to do that? Does AI do everything? No, and it doesn't do everything well. Now you see the problem. And she's like, yeah, no, that's what we're analyzing. We're analyzing where is there going to be a real disruption. And think about this, because this is, as soon as she said that, it went off like a screaming bell in my head. It's, does that disruption destroy that company? Or does that disruption actually grow that segment because it forces change? That's what. And I was like, that is a great approach. Forget about, you use AI, online. I mean, it's really fast for me. If you're using ChatGPT or Anthropic or whatever it is, and you're going out to the cloud to go use it, immediately I just go, oh, so you wanted that security risk. Okay, got it. Right? That's immediately what I think. Because mistakes happen. That's a third-party risk that you're opening yourself up to. A massive third-party risk. But beyond that, what are you doing to create solutions? Like, how are you actually leveraging AI? And you better not tell me, oh, it's for email. I don't want, it's sort of like Excel. Some of you guys out there, some of you people out there are, use Excel on a daily basis. And you know that there's a lot you can do inside Excel. But if you don't keep using it, it's one of those situations where you use it or you lose it. I have truly forgotten a lot about some of the stuff that I've done in Excel. I've had to pull up old documents and be like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Oh. Like I have an Excel workbook where I have a whole bunch of tools in it. And every now and then I just go update the tools and things like that because I forget more. And not that I'm getting old. I mean, I am getting old. I mean, you can tell. But use it or lose it. And certain functions you don't use anymore because you're not doing that level of work. And right now I'm looking at all these companies that are getting rid of their analysts. Wow. And you wonder, you really do wonder, like, why are you getting rid of all these skills? Certain executives think that it's just a matter of use it. No, it's not about using co-piloted tools like that. It's about what solutions do you have. I was speaking with a law firm. I told you guys the other day, speaking with a law firm, and they were like, yeah, our guys are building solutions. They've built so many solutions. We were able to downsize a little bit. I sat there and I thought about that, and I was like, did you downsize because you built some stuff, or did you downsize because you're not making as much money as you did? And I didn't get that far, right? I didn't get that far in the conversation. We'll probably catch up next week. And that's going to be a question. Did you downsize because you had to downsize, or were you looking to downsize and now you have a reason and you're downsizing for a different reason? But either way, implementing these tools what was used to actually get you there. That's what I mean. So when I speak with these companies, I'm like, what are you looking to do? What are your business processes now? How much are you bleeding or hemorrhaging in your current business processes? Because some companies, and it goes toward how you evaluate the companies that you're looking for. I mean, I know you guys probably think, oh, he's just rambling. No, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. So do I want to invest in a company that's looking for KPIs, right? Or looking for indicators that, oh, we're using AI a lot. That's cute. Are you leveraging AI the way you can to reduce costs and increase capacity? Is your first thought to leverage AI to downsize, or is it we're going to leverage AI to increase capacity? We might lose some people along the way, but that's not the number one reason. Conversation with this firm was, I'm pretty sure that was the number one reason they needed to downsize. Pretty sure that was it. And now that you've downsized, hopefully that person or people have found other jobs. But now that you've downsized, are you 100% sure that you built that solution properly? Are you 100% sure that you built that solution properly? If you're using data from outside, how can I attack you? Oh, I can do injection. So there's security around that. So when you go back to what Jenny Harrington was saying, there's a lot more research in that than just what's going to be disrupted, what's not going to be disrupted. You could be the perfect business that's not going to be disrupted by AI. Disrupted from a perspective of you could go out of business, right? But you could be enhanced by AI. So that's my next question. Are you doing that? So when I'm doing my own research, I'm looking for things like that. You own the building that you're in. That's awesome. Did you put solar on the roof? You got a windmill up there or something? Are you doing anything with that extra space to cut costs on electricity because you own the building, right? That's what I'm looking for. So when I'm looking at buying a building, a small little tenement, what kind of sunlight do they get? What kind of sunlight do they get? Let me call up my boy and have him come by the house and, do an inspection and see what we can do. Actually, he doesn't even have to come by. They have satellites that they use to look at, how much sun you're going to get. Yeah. I'm looking for stuff like that. So if I'm investing in a multifamily house or something like that, I'm not just looking for the best price. I'm looking for, can I put solar on that? Can I put hot or vort on that? Basically horizontal or vertical, windmills. But can I do that? Oh. Now you're cooking with grease. now you're cooking with grease. Right? Because when I look at, like I said, when I'm looking at these news articles, I'm kind of like, all right, so what's going to get disrupted? What's not going to get disrupted? I'm looking at RWA, right? What's getting rocked by RWA right now? Yeah. Where's that article? I just had it. Let's see. Because it was... Damn it, where is it? There it is. Give me a second. Bear with me. Control F. There you go. So Ondo Finance and Chainlink unveil groundbreaking integration that could revolutionize DeFi. Ondo Finance integrated Chainlink as its official data oracle, enabling price feeds for tokenized US stocks like SPY on, QQQ on, and others. Small things like that. You'll look at Ripple, RWA. You look at Hedera, RWA. You look at Avalanche, RWA. You look at a lot of different projects out there that are involved in RWA. Oracle is one of the few projects that can go side by side with another company, another project that's involved with RWA. And it's because they're an Oracle. Can they do the full gamut? Yes. But they can easily come in and share the wealth. How's that for nuts? You're asking questions that nobody cares about. From an implementation perspective, nobody cares. You want to tout Cardano, hear me out. You want to tout Cardano, nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not going to say they're more secure. They are secure. I'm not going to say they offer more privacy than Chainlink, but they do offer privacy. Okay, great. What else do they bring to the table? Because I can tell you now, that's not enough. And I hold a nice, healthy bag of Cardano. It's not enough. Oracle comes to the table. You don't compare Cardano to Chainlink. That's not a comparison. That's the absolute wrong comparison. Right? No, don't waste my time because it'll tick me off. It'll really tick me off. So the idea is that I'm still waiting to see who I could put Chainlink up against. Is it Pyth number 2? Pyth is a distant. When I say distant, I mean like if we're on Earth, they're like beyond Saturn. That's the distance between Chainlink and any other Oracle. D-Mac in the house. Have you invested in yourself, young man? So you start to realize, okay, when it comes to RWA, there are different facets that need to be handled with regard to RWA, right? There's the chain that you're going to use to actually transport value. And then there's the chain that you're going to use for transporting the calculations for that value, right? So Chainlink is saying, here are the feeds for the pricing for the things that you're doing. Thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself, young man. Greatly appreciate it. So yeah, you start to look at it. It's a different kind of thing. So many people like to compare different coins, but you have to understand what coin does what. Compare Cardano to like Ripple. Compare Cardano to Solana, Ethereum. They're not oracles, but they're in the same space, performing the same services. What's the biggest problem for Cardano? Cardano doesn't have a good story. Period. They do not have a good story. Every time you turn around, somebody is positively in the news when it comes to any one of the other, platforms that are out there. Cardano's too quiet. Way too quiet. But Charles hasn't been speaking all that much. He's been quiet. He's been quiet. You can go look that up on the internet. You can go look that up on the internet. What's Bitcoin? I'm sure you know how to do that research. I don't mind answering questions. I don't answer silly questions. Not even from my kids. And what I mean by silly is, it's not that it's a stupid question. It's just something you can go look up. If you're asking me for my opinion about something, ask me for my opinion about something. Be clear. But when I look at Chainlink is going to be involved deeply in DeFi. Right? Deeply. It's going to be involved deeply in RWA. Even if they're not the chain that's actually moving things around, that the chain that you actually use to tokenize. There's a chain that you use to tokenize. Again, this is the chain that you're going to use to tokenize. And this is the chain that you're going to use to get and set pricing. Ta-da. I don't think anybody's beating Chainlink anytime soon. It's not to say that they can't be beat. I mean, I think pretty sure look at it like this. If you're going to beat Chainlink, you have to come up with all the feeds that they have. It's not just about being faster, because I think Pith might actually be faster than Chainlink. It's not just about being faster. It's about having all those feeds. And you've got a long way to go before you're going to catch up to Chainlink. Really long way to go. Big deal. It's a really big deal. And I'm paying attention to it because when everything starts to go, that traffic is going to do what? It's going to drive up prices. I don't even know what you're talking about, man. That last sentence, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. None. You have to be more clear in your sentences, dude. A little bit more clear so I can understand what you're talking about. And you have to remember, there's a delay between what you see and what you're responding to and where I'm at in the show. So you got to give me a little bit more for me to go on. What else is there? McDonald's surpassed all expectations. Good money for them. Bill Ackman's secret bet on Meta. That's a big deal. I'm still, having it play out in my head, the cheap money that Google was able to get because they want to spend money on AI. Google did not have to go to the street, but they were like, why wouldn't we take advantage of cheap money? That's why they went that whole bond route. Why wouldn't we take advantage of cheap money? Brilliant move. It's only. I think they went originally for 20 billion. I think they wound up raising 32 billion. Nuts. The stage is being set. We are approaching the final act, and everyone is getting into position. I think that's where all the manipulation comes from. Just saying. I think all of the financial institutions have chosen the horse they're betting on. No. No. I hear what you're saying, and I think a lot of them have, but I think that there are a lot of financial institutions that are going to get bought. I think there are a lot of financial institutions that are going to go away. And somebody will just swallow that business because they don't have any place to go. Right? But I think there are a lot of financial. Think about this. Remember, there are a lot of NDAs out there. Yes, there are, but there's always a leak. NDAs don't mean jack. They're only enforceable if you know who did it. They're all out there. And I know for a fact that a lot of companies have not chosen their horse. Choosing Binance's crypto as a service, which is, I'm serious, CAAS. That's a real thing. Go look it up. We reported it a few weeks ago. But choosing them as your horse, is that really making a choice? I think the same thing with Coinbase. PNC Bank made that deal with Coinbase. It was a brilliant move. But then when you fast forward a little bit, it's, oh snap, who aims to win off that deal? Is it the bank? No, the bank can only say, oh, we can offer you blah, blah, blah through a third party. Remember when I told you a long time ago that when you work with a bank, you're actually working with a lot of different entities? And when you sign contracts with a bank, it usually says someplace in there, we have the right to, share information with our sister companies and maybe some third parties. A bank is not just a bank. It's a conglomeration of a whole bunch of different things. So when you go to get a mortgage, you're actually going through that bank's mortgage arm, which is probably a separate company because it's cleaner to do it like that. Or it could be another company. You ever wake up one day, you go to pay your mortgage, and holy moly, somebody else owns my mortgage now? Aha. So in the deal with Coinbase, they just become a third party that's delivering these services for them. But in this case, who wins the most? I can tell you now, I think the company that wins the most is Coinbase, not the bank. Because your people came to the bank and they said, well, if you're not going to give me, crypto, I'm out of here. I can go someplace else. See you later. And they said, oh, no, we can do that. We can do that. And they cut that deal. And now there's an easy pass through and all that other good stuff. But Coinbase can do a lot of different things. So once I onboard my money, is that coming back? The American Banking Association already knows that they can lose trillions. Let's be nice. Let's say billions of dollars. I think it is going to be trillions, though, in money that they're not going to see anymore because people are going to onboard their money, and, put it on the blockchain and do whatever it is they're going to do. Coinbase, Ripple will win. It's already in position. They were 5 steps ahead. No, I'm just using Coinbase as an example. Ripple is not an exchange. Coinbase is an exchange. Ripple does not offer, on-ramping and off-ramping services. Coinbase does. So Coinbase being, everybody in the United States wants to deal with Coinbase. It's the number one exchange in the country for now, right? So a lot of banks are probably going to wind up coming to them and saying, oh, yeah, I want to do that. That's right. They're going to be a bank. And what does that mean? That's right. They're competition. They'll have their own rails to be able to on-ramp and off-ramp money. So when you go to them, you're only giving them the opportunity to take your customers. Okay. Means something now, doesn't it? It starts to hit you and you kind of go, oh, damn. So when you say that they've chosen their own horse, now you understand where I'm coming from. Not everybody's chosen a horse. Not everybody has chosen their horse. They've offloaded the solution. Look at Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley's working with Zero Hash. MasterCard couldn't buy them. I guess deal didn't go through. I was very upset about that. I thought they were going to make a masterful move, and they didn't. It's okay. It's okay. Woosah. But think about that. So Anchorage Digital is shutting down their exchange. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying, I wonder which bank is going to snatch them up, because why wouldn't you snatch that up? You get the dev team, you get 3 million users. That's what I was talking about this morning. Dev team, 3 million users, let's rock. I don't have to have it integrated immediately. I can buy the company, have 3 million users that are now happy bank customers. And then I can start integrating on my own timeline to more easily on-ramp and off-ramp money. Ta-da. Just saying. I mean, you start to realize, holy moly, that could be the solution for a lot of banks. I also mentioned that, well, Gemini got out of the UK, got out of Europe. That kind of messed up the UK's plans because they want to be some sort of a, crypto hub, whatever. Excuse me. That's cute, right? And then you start to realize, well, if Gemini goes out of business, they're already integrated with NASDAQ. Who would snatch them up? NASDAQ. Do you really think NASDAQ is going to let anybody else snatch up Gemini if Gemini goes belly up? I don't think so. Unless there is a regulatory issue, that's not what's going to happen. So barring a regulatory issue, I think Gemini goes away. I mean, they're dropping 200 employees. And you knew it was coming because they had that problem with Genesis so many years ago, right? Everything went awry with that. They took major hits over that, the whole nine. It's a big fight. And I don't think that fight is over either. So now they've got to figure out, well, what are we doing? You're an exchange. You're supposed to be making money. And you're backing out of two pretty decently sized markets. Really? The only thing I can think of is you're going out of business. You're downsizing because you don't know what else to do. Can you say oops? I've been saying for a long time, choosing a horse could be, what blockchain is my financial institution going to use for whatever stuff we want to do on a blockchain? That's cute. That's cute. That's only the movement of value. The real issue these banks have is the fact that they don't natively offer crypto services. Well, most of them don't offer crypto services directly. Indirectly through companies like Zero Hash and others. That's cute. That's not really a great experience for the person. So that's going to cause a problem. And then integrating the new APIs and all that stuff, you don't know what you're doing. So I think that's going to be a problem for a lot of banks. So choosing the right horse, I don't know about that. Rails is one thing, right? Rails is one thing, and let me tell you something. You could choose several different chains for several different reasons. Look at Franklin Templeton. They didn't choose anybody. They chose Benji. They built their own. Isn't Benji built on Ethereum? I think it's built on Ethereum. I have to check. Remember, they will be a bank. That's right. They will be a bank. Just saying. So I'm looking at some of these banks, and I hear you. In some of these banks might have chosen the what rails they're going to use. I don't think most banks have. I still submit that we're going to see a consolidation and a culling in the banking industry. I think that banks are wasting a lot of time pointing the finger, wagging the finger, saying, hey, they shouldn't be able to do this and do that and blah, 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 while they are not stepping up their game. JP Morgan saw this coming a long time ago, and that's exactly what they did. They got involved, they jumped in, and they were like, oh, we got to be on top of this. And they are. They're way ahead of other banks. Way ahead. Even with Jamie Dimon out there talking about, no. You haven't heard anything about a Jamie Dimon as of late, right? Because it would be a lie. And I'm still trying to figure out, how is that guy not in jail? You said that your staff would get fired if they do anything with crypto. Meanwhile, your company, your bank is all about crypto. That's not manipulation. I guess what you say as a human being, as a regular person and not the head of a bank, but except that you are places where you are speaking as a head of a bank. To me, that's a manipulation. Banks will have to do what Congress says, not the Fed. I'm not quite sure where you're coming from with that. Not quite sure. Banks have to deal with a lot of different government agencies. FDIC, OCC, depending on what they are, SEC. There are a lot of different agencies, that the Fed itself. There are a lot of different parts of the government that they have to deal with. Congress ain't one. Unless they change the laws, Congress is not one of them. Might think so, but nah. It's a different kind of animal. It's very much a different kind of animal. Like the OCC will come after you for, any one of them can come after you for different things. You weren't handling your data properly. You allowed, nefarious transactions, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, that's right. Regulations were rolled back. You had a whole bunch of banks that had consent orders against them, meaning you were doing something wrong. We caught you doing something wrong. Now you have to fix it and you have to pay this fine. A lot of those consent orders went away. Remember, we reported that a few weeks ago. A lot of those consent orders went away with this new regime. What does that mean? That means they're no longer in trouble for mishandling whatever it is they mishandled. For some of them, if you go look it up, for some of them, it was your data. Now you know why data sovereignty is a very big deal. Now you actually understand why so many people don't want to deal with banks. They'd rather go to an exchange. And how long do you have to be with an exchange? Only long enough to handle your business and get the hell off. That's where banks have a problem. Banks have a very poor competitive posture, I would say right now. That's why they're fighting tooth and nail for stablecoins to not be able to offer rewards of any kind, because that will be the death knell for a bank. Imagine I can get 5% per year over here, 5% a year over here, or I can get point whatever percent over there. Nah, son, I'm gonna go get this 5%, maybe even more. But I'm going to go get that over here. Thanks. Peace out, bruh. Thank you very much. Deuces. Let me see what you're writing. Banks just hold debt for the Fed with bonds. Banks need a second service and not try to blend them. Figure out how to make money on both. I understand what you're saying, but it kind of misses what my point is. My point is that banks make money off it in a lot of different ways, okay? Mainly your money being deposited in the bank that they loan out. That's the number one thing. Derivative this, derivative that, whatever, right? Put that to the side. I don't care about how they make their money. They care about assets on, not assets under management. They call it assets on deposit or something like that. Because the money that they have, they loan it out. That's how much money they know. How they can calculate how much money we're going to make per day, per hour, per minute on how much money they have currently within their bank, right? PNC cutting a deal with a company like Coinbase, who's about to become a bank, you're making it easy for your customers to on-ramp and off-ramp money onto crypto, out of crypto. Once it's in crypto, not a lot of people leave crypto. They'll on-ramp their money and leave it over there because they're collecting more interest. Those people that do their own research, know their entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. They'll make that calculation. Wait a minute. I could leave that money over here and collect almost nothing in interest and have to pay fees Or I can leave it over there and I can actually make my money. And if they get on my nerves with my fees, I'll just go to another bank. And if it's Coinbase, I probably won't have to pay any fees. The game has changed, and I don't think banks are keeping up, is my point. I understand what you're saying, and you're not wrong, Lieutenant. I'm just saying that I don't think banks are keeping up. And what do you do when you can't keep up? You cheat. You cheat. And so the banks are fighting so that, there's a bill and we don't want stable coins to be able to offer. Like, what's the reason that you have that stable coins should not be allowed to offer, staking or rewards? What's your reason? Not good enough. We're not protecting. I want somebody to say, we're tired of protecting the banks. You've been gouging people for years. You've been resting on your laurels for years. All done. Step up your game. Step up your game, Mr. Monopoly. Just saying. You're even mixing things. They should have multi-signatures for sure. Nobody cares about the technical background of anything. It has nothing to do with the conversation. Nothing. Who cares about multi-signatures? Who cares? You know what they really care about? Is your exchange, covered by insurance? Maybe that's another reason why you want to become a bank. Because if you do, well, certain things can actually be covered by insurance, FDIC. We won't know until it officially hits the market. Like, I haven't bothered to look at Kraken because I have no interest. But it's things like that I'm kind of like, did you really choose your horse? So D-Mac, do you really think they've all chosen their horses? I think most banks don't even know what they're doing. They don't have a response. For crypto, they don't have a response. And you know what's really messed up? You look at most of these banks and you sit there and you're kind of like, not only do they not have a response for crypto, but now they don't even have enough brain. You think I'm wrong about the banks? What part about the banks am I wrong? Which part? I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind learning a little something. Is it about working with a company like Ripple versus Chainlink? Or about them cutting a deal with a company like Coinbase or Binance for outsourced crypto services? Remember, Ripple had an NDA on Bank of America since 2014. You're talking about two completely different things, sir. That's what I pointed out earlier. The first thing that I pointed out was, yes, Ripple is a rail. Compare that to other rails, other way that you can transport value. Correct. In terms of chosen my horse about how I want to transport value on a given chain, most banks have not done that. Go look at the number of banks in the United States and then go look to see how many are actually doing something in blockchain. That number is far less than you think. So I don't think I'm wrong. I think we're probably saying the same thing. It's just that you think that number is higher than I do. I think that number is very low. I think the number is very low. It's a percentage. Look at the 4 or 5 big banks. No, I don't look at the 4 or 5 big banks. 4 or 5 big banks, sure, they're doing whatever it is they think they're doing. Got it. What about the other banks in this country? Not everything flows through those big banks, and I think the big banks have the farthest way down. Because some of them haven't chosen a horse. Some of them have not figured it out. Right? I'm not talking about the 4 or 5 big banks. You should have prefaced what you were saying by saying, no, I'm talking about the 4 or 5 biggest banks. Then I would have been like, yeah, they probably chose their horse. I know a couple of them have. In terms of how they're going to move value. But in terms of how they're going to offer services, they don't have an answer. Most banks don't have an answer. And I think that's where they're going to get hurt. Yeah, case in point, my credit union were offering me to buy crypto, and then they stopped. Most banks and credit unions do not have a native service to offer crypto services. Totally different than, oh, we're going to be implementing this blockchain technology into our bank. It's different. Yeah, but that's a credit union versus a bank. Yeah, credit unions are very different than banks from a legal perspective. Sometimes I frankly believe that everybody should have a bank account, a credit union account, and crypto. Stock exchange account. And when you think about what you might be able to get your hands on, not get your hands on, that's when you start realizing, oh, I'm going to need more than one account for this particular space. Remember, Ripple have list of services, not a bank. Ripple has a list of services. They're not a bank, and they're not offering the same services as a Coinbase. You know what I mean? So we'd have to go, okay, so for this service, who's their competition? For this service, who's the competition? And do that all the way down the line. It's not what we were talking about, sir. First, you're changing it to, the top 4 or 5 banks. Okay, cool. I can agree with you, top 4 or 5 banks. Right? I can definitely agree with that. And because they've introduced RLUSD, they can offer a lot more services. Okay. But that has nothing to do with actually bringing in or keeping the people that have, keeping their depositors. Just because you can move assets around, move value around via those rails or those services doesn't mean that you're attracting or retaining your depositors. That's what I'm talking about. I said there are 2 different things. One is that, the other one is this. I was very clear. You're not going to catch me sleeping, young man. Not going to catch me sleeping. What's wrong with you? 77% of RLUSD is on Ethereum too. Yeah. I'm not actually worried about RLUSD. I think RLUSD is no joke. They made the right moves. When they first came out with RLUSD, people were like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. It's going to XRP. And I was like, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. I think it's going to boost XRP. They play off of each other. But going back to your other point, DMAC, Ripple's been in this game for a really long time, and people forgot. People think that, they kind of have this like new kind of look. They're not new. They're old AF. They've been in this game for a long time. Longer than most. There are only a few that have been in the game longer than Ripple. They've been in this game for a really long time. And that's something else I keep telling people, that when Ripple ran into their problem in the United States, that did not affect their European money. Sometimes I wonder if people think, not you, I just wonder if people think, how the heck were they able to pay those hundreds of millions of dollars? It's because they were still making money outside the U.S. That's why. People just weren't getting it. Yo, Courtney, what's good? You're just getting on and I'm just about to sign off. What exchange just launched a crypto wallet that operates without humans? It is Coinbase. It is Coinbase. Now you know why I was having that long conversation about Coinbase. If you look at some of the big players in the crypto space, Coinbase is a big player, Binance is a big player, Ripple, duh. But you can make that list. Ripple executive team is, bruh. Ripple's executive team is like Voltron, right? Every piece of the body has got like big skills, and then you put them together and they have even more skills together. That's how I look at Ripple. That's how I look at Ripple. You know what else I like about Ripple? Brad Garlinghouse is like, we care about our community. Powerful statement. Powerful statement. They know how they got here. Yes, they're hyper focused on institutional adoption and all that stuff. But they're all about their people. You can't buy Ripple yet. But yeah, their management team is no joke. No joke at all. Oh, so some company news. All my big baggers, there will be on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there will be a video conference call. I will get out the invitations soon, but you know it's going to be Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we'll have it. That's one. Two, what else did we do? We introduced the Money Minute today. We've been testing it and playing around with it, and we introduced it today. So I think we'll be doing that going forward. So that way you can get a quick read of the headlines and you can keep it moving. You can go back to the site and read all the articles. It's going to be like that. So we've got a lot more that's coming. Bear with us. We're having fun building stuff. We're having a lot of fun building stuff. If you want to reach out to me on growmybag.tv. If it's a business call, drop me an email or something like that. I know a lot of people have been trying to reach out. It's been crazy busy. I have an assistant that screens calls, and I'll tell you now, I mean, from work, not even from Grow My Bag, from regular work, she's screening calls and she's like, well, you didn't say what you want them for. I'm not even going to bother to pass along the message. We're that busy. We're like so close to launching some new stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. So she's more diligent with managing my time than I am. So I'm just like, all right, well, like today I was nose down just looking at code all day, doing testing all day. There's a lot. And did you know if you go to the site and you mouse over an avatar, you get a nice little pop-up and you can click chat, and that's how you can do DMs. Did you know that? Yeah, just saying. Got a lot of stuff going on. I keep telling you guys, Grow My Bag is a full-blown social media platform dedicated to investing. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes. Tell your friends about this community because it's the only one that cares about what you got going on up here. So if you can, go over to growmybag.tv, become a member. It's only $1 a month. It doesn't hurt. And you get access to a whole bunch of resources. Anyway, everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. And you know what? Something else. Thank you for sharing. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. for the daily. Have a good one. Bye-bye.